What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your RWM-DSP-L2. So as you can see, it comes with a receiver. You also get two microphone packs here. You also have all of the accessories for the mic pack, so you have two headsets, two lavaliers, and two 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch cables so you can connect instruments to the packs. You also get two antennas to plug into the back of the receiver to improve the signal between your wireless packs and the receiver, a 1/4 inch cable to connect your receiver to a powered speaker or mixer, a USB cable so you can connect your receiver to a computer, a power supply to power the receiver, and mounting hardware so you can mount the receiver into your rack. So first let's focus on setting up the receiver. For that, I'm gonna leave out the two antennas and the power supply, and I'm gonna get rid of everything else until I need it later on. So we'll start by taking the antennas and plugging them into the two antenna ports here on the back of the receiver. To do that, you're gonna look at the end of each antenna. You'll see these tiny little grooves here, and you're gonna line them up to the grooves of each port, just like this. And then from there, you can actually pull the antenna back and lock it in by twisting it to the left. And we're gonna do the exact same thing with the second antenna. And then from there, we can lift the antennas up just like that. So now we can connect our power supply. To do that, we'll take the end of the power supply and plug it into the back of the receiver. Then you can plug the other end into your wall outlet or power source. So the next thing we can do for our setup is set up the packs. Before we start, you're gonna wanna make sure you have a pair of AA batteries for each pack. So we can start with one of our packs, open it up just like this, and you can see the battery compartment inside here. So now we can take a pair of batteries and plug them inside, just like this, and then we can close it up. We'll do the exact same thing on our second pack here. So now from here, we can choose which type of input device we want to set up to each pack. We have 3 different options for each pack. I've got one of each right here. So we've got the 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch cable. This could be good for connecting your instrument, like your guitar, to the pack so you can have a completely wireless setup. In the microphone department, we have a headset mic. This is like a classic 80s Madonna sort of style. You can wear this around your head, plug this into the pack, and have a hands-free setup. And lastly, we have our lav. So you can plug the 1/8 inch end into your pack and then connect the other end to your lapel or the collar of your shirt. So I'll show you how to set up each one, starting with the 1/4 inch. Now all of these devices actually have this threading here on the 1/8 inch end. So when you go to plug them into your pack, you're gonna plug it in just like this. And once it's inserted all the way, you're gonna actually tighten it up like this. And now it's fully fastened inside of the pack to avoid any accidental unplugging. So if you notice your microphone isn't coming through the PA, but all of the volumes are set, you'll wanna make sure that it's fastened just like this. Then from here, you're gonna plug the other end into your guitar or bass. Next, we have the headset mic. So again, we're gonna take the 1/8 inch end and plug it into our pack right here on the top, just like this. After you plug it in, remember you want to screw it into the pack like that, so it's fully fastened. Then to put on the headset, we're gonna make sure these ear loops here are pointing up like this, and we're just gonna put each one behind each ear. And just like that, we have a completely hands-free setup. And lastly, we have the lav mic, so we're gonna plug the 1/8 inch end into our pack, like that. And remember, after you plug it in, you're gonna screw it in to fasten it to the pack, just like that. And then we'll take the other end, and using this clip here, we're gonna attach the mic as close to our face as possible, whether that's on the collar of our shirt, like this, or a lapel, anything that does the job. And lastly, once you're all set, you can use this clip here on the back of the pack to attach it to your person, whether that's on your belt, in your pocket, whatever works. So now let's talk about how to sync our packs to our receiver. First, I will turn on the receiver using the button here. And then I'm gonna turn on the pack by holding down the power button here. After that, you'll see the display light up, letting you know that it's powered on. Now on the display, you'll see this frequency here, and if you take a look at the display on the receiver, you'll see that the two frequencies match. You'll always want these frequencies synced, or else there won't be any connection, so you won't be able to hear yourself at all. If the frequency on your receiver is out of sync with the frequency on your pack, there is a way to fix this. To do that, all you have to do is press set here, and then you can use these up and down buttons to switch the frequency. So as you can see, it's switching right now as I'm pressing up or down, and then you can keep going until you see the corresponding frequency for your pack. So now you can see they're both linked up. Now if you're wearing your pack and you're trying to talk, but you're experiencing any dropouts or no sound at all, there is a way to set a new frequency for our channel. To do that, we're gonna look for the sync or scan button down here. If we hold this down, it's gonna look for a clean frequency to use. So we're gonna hold this down right now. And as you can see, it's cycling through the frequencies, trying to find the cleanest one. And there you go. So now we have a new signal for channel A here, but when you look at the pack, you'll see that it hasn't changed. So now to sync the pack to the new frequency, we're just gonna open up the pack like this to reveal the IR sensor. We're gonna place the pack up nice and close to the receiver like this. You almost want it covering the IR light right here. Then we're gonna press the sync button for channel A. You're gonna see the IR light at the end of the receiver flash, and now you'll see that the pack matches the frequency for channel A. If we open up the pack, you'll see we have some controls here. So we have the volume control to adjust the volume of the pack itself. So we can either raise it all the way up to 7, or we can lower it if we need. We also have the IR power button here, and this helps the connection between the pack and the receiver. We also have this RF power button here, and this helps the connection between the packs and the receiver. So we have 3 different settings to choose from. We have RF low, RF middle, and RF high. For the best possible connection, we can set this to RF high, but this does come with the cost of battery life. So the higher you have the RF, the more battery it takes. So if you wanted to save some battery, you can set it to RF low or RF middle to be safe. And you can also mute each pack altogether by just quick pressing the power button here. You'll then see this microphone symbol is crossed off, letting you know that the pack is muted. And then we can just quick press it again to unmute the pack. On the front, we have channel A over here and channel B over here. In the middle, you can see the frequency that each pack is set to. So here is the frequency for pack A, and here is the frequency for pack B. We are able to change the frequency channel, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. Each channel has their own set of controls, so we have the up and down buttons here. By themselves, they act as a volume control, so we can bring the volume down for each pack like that, or we can bring it up like that. At the bottom, we have the sync button, so we can sync each pack to the frequency that each channel is set to, or we can hold it down to scan for a clean frequency so there's no interruptions or dropouts. On this side of the unit, we have echo presets, so if we wanted to add some echo to our voice or instrument, we can press this once to activate the first preset, and we can keep going to activate preset 2 or preset 3, and then we can turn it off altogether after that. Underneath, we have the feedback filter, which is really cool. This is going to prevent any screeching or humming that may result in some feedback caused by the microphone. On the other side of the unit, we have preset EQs. So if you wanted to change the sound of your microphone a little bit, you can check out some of these presets. We have 3 of them, so we can activate preset 1, preset 2, preset 3, or we can just turn it off altogether. And underneath we have an exciter. This is going to add some mid-range to our voice for a cool effect. There's actually some software for the unit you can download to fine-tune some of these settings, but we're gonna get to that later on. Now on the display, you'll see this frequency here, and if you take a look at the display on the receiver, you'll see that the two frequencies match. You'll always want these frequencies synced, or else there won't be any connection, so you won't be able to hear yourself at all. If the frequency on your receiver is out of sync with the frequency on your pack, there is a way to fix this. To do that, all you have to do is press set here, and then you can use these up and down buttons to switch the frequency. So as you can see, it's switching right now as I'm pressing up or down, and then you can keep going until you see the corresponding frequency for your pack. So now you can see they're both linked up. Now if you're wearing your pack and you're trying to talk, but you're experiencing any dropouts or no sound at all, there is a way to set a new frequency for our channel. To do that, we're gonna look for the sync or scan button down here. If we hold this down, it's gonna look for a clean frequency to use. So we're gonna hold this down right now. And as you can see, it's cycling through the frequencies, trying to find the cleanest one. And there you go. So now we have a new signal for channel A here, but when you look at the pack, you'll see that it hasn't changed. So now to sync the pack to the new frequency, we're just gonna open up the pack like this to reveal the IR sensor. We're gonna place the pack up nice and close to the receiver like this. You almost want it covering the IR light right here. Then we're gonna press the sync button for channel A. You're gonna see the IR light at the end of the receiver flash, and now you'll see that the pack matches the frequency for channel A. If we open up the pack, you'll see we have some controls here. So we have the volume control to adjust the volume of the pack itself. So we can either raise it all the way up to 7, or we can lower it if we need. We also have the IR power button here, and this helps the connection between the pack and the receiver. We also have this RF power button here, and this helps the connection between the packs and the receiver. So we have 3 different settings to choose from. We have RF low, RF middle, and RF high. For the best possible connection, we can set this to RF high, but this does come with the cost of battery life. So the higher you have the RF, the more battery it takes. So if you wanted to save some battery, you can set it to RF low or RF middle to be safe. And you can also mute each pack altogether by just quick pressing the power button here. You'll then see this microphone symbol is crossed off, letting you know that the pack is muted. And then we can just quick press it again to unmute the pack. Okay, so on the back we have the antenna ports. We went ahead and plugged in our antennas already to strengthen the connection between the pack and the receiver. In the middle we have the 1/4" output, so we can connect our receiver to a channel on our mixer or powered speaker. This is a good setup because you have 2 microphones on 1 channel, so you save a little room on your mixer or speaker. But if you want even more control, you can use up 2 channels per speaker or mixer by using the XLR outputs on the back of the receiver. So if you wanted to use your receiver with a mixer, but you wanted to have independent volume control, separate EQ, effects, etc., you can use the outputs from the receiver and plug them into 2 separate channels or inputs on the mixer. At the end, we have the USB port so we can connect the receiver to our computer. From there, you can download the software for the receiver where you can edit a bunch of different things. Again, we'll get into that later on. So one way we can set up our receiver is with a powered speaker like this one here. We have a couple different ways on how we can do this, but first I'll show you how to do it with the included 1/4" cable. So all we gotta do is take one end and plug it into the 1/4" mix output on the back of the receiver. Then we can plug the other end into one of the channels on our powered speaker here. For today, I'm gonna use channel 1. So now I'm gonna make sure the receiver is powered on. I'm also gonna power on my speaker here. And I'm also gonna power on the pack here. First, we'll do a volume check. So I'm gonna check on the pack itself to make sure that the volume is turned up. You don't want the volume on the pack itself to be too high because it might risk some distortion or clipping. So we're gonna start by bringing it up to 2 for right now. We can always bring it up later in case we need some more volume. Next, I'm gonna give the channel itself some volume through this mic volume knob here. And then I'm gonna raise the master volume on the speaker just a little bit. Before we bring up the volume on the receiver, I'm gonna go ahead and put my headset on. Now I can bring up the volume on channel A on the receiver.
And now as I talk, you'll be able to hear my voice coming through the speaker.
Remember, another setup you can use is by using the XLR outputs on the back of the receiver to plug into 2 separate channels on the back of your powered speaker. So another way we can set up our receiver is to 2 channels on our mixer. This allows you to have independent control of each pack, so you can adjust things like volume. You can have different EQ settings on each pack, and you can also have different levels of reverb or effects on each pack. So for this setup, I'm gonna need 2 XLR cables. I'm gonna take the female ends and plug them into the XLR outputs here on the back of the receiver. So I'm gonna plug one into balance B, and I'm gonna plug the other one into balance A. From here, I'm gonna take the other ends and plug them into 2 separate channels on my mixer. For today, I'm gonna be using channels 1 and 2, and you also wanna keep track of which output is going into which input. So for example, if you want pack A to be assigned to channel 1, just make sure that the plug coming from balance A is getting plugged into channel 1. So again, balance A or pack A is gonna go into channel 1, and pack 2 is gonna go into channel 2. So next we can raise the gain on both channels. We'll also bring up the level knobs for each channel. And to make sure we're hearing everything coming out of the mixer, we're gonna raise the main mix knob here. Remember, you can set the volume for the pack itself by opening up the battery compartment and looking for the 2 volume buttons here. To avoid any clipping or distortion, you don't want the pack to be too loud, so we'll start by bringing it up to volume 2 for starters. I also want to make sure that the frequency channels are matched between the receiver and both packs. Since I'm just using pack A for today, I'm going to raise the volume for pack A. Next, I can put on my headset.
And now as I talk, you can hear me coming through the mixer and out of the speakers. So like I mentioned, this is a great setup because now we can use all of the effects on our mixer. So I can raise it up on channel 1, hello, hello, and now we have a cool effect on our voice.
So another cool thing we can do is set up our guitar to our receiver. To do that, you're gonna need the 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch adapter that comes with your kit. You're gonna plug the 1/8 inch end right into your pack here. As you're plugging in the 1/8 inch end into your pack, you're gonna also want to screw it in like this so that it's nice and fastened. Then you can take the 1/4 inch end and plug that into your guitar. Remember, if you need, you can change the frequency channel for each pack by pressing the set button on either channel A or channel B. Then you can use the up and down buttons to change the frequency. Then to link the pack to that new frequency, you're gonna open up the front compartment here to reveal the IR sensor. You're gonna press the set button for that channel and make sure that it's nice and close to the receiver. And then the display on the pack will flash with the new frequency. Also make sure that the volume is set on the pack itself. You don't want it to be too loud, so we're just gonna set it to volume 2 for right now. So now we can take the pack and either put it in our pocket, or we can even strap it to the strap of our guitar by using the clip on the back. Now we can raise the volume for pack A on our receiver. Then we can raise the volume on our guitar. And now if I play the guitar, you'll be able to hear it coming through the receiver and out of the speaker. What's also cool is that you can connect your second pack and plug in one of your microphones and use them both at the same time. This is going to apply for both the L2 and the H2 in the RWM-DSP series. For starters, we're going to turn the unit around to see the feet here on the bottom. These can actually come off if we just pull them out, just like this. For now, we're just going to place the feet on the side, but if you ever wanted to add them back, there is an easy way to do that. There's a little knob in the center of each foot, so you're going to want to pull that out, or just have it fall out in your hand like that. Then you're just going to take your foot and place them into one of the holes. Then you're going to take the knob again and run it through the middle of the foot and make sure it runs through the hole just like that. Now the receiver is going to come with some hardware so you can mount the unit into your rack. So it comes with two rack ears. You have one shorter one to go on one side, and then you have a longer one. Since the unit is on the smaller side, this is going to fill up the space inside of your rack. We also have this bar here, and this can connect two units if you want to fill up more space and have both of them side to side, but we'll get to that later on. So to attach your rack ears, you're going to take the unit and you're going to look on the sides for these two screws here and these two screws here. You can use a Phillips head screwdriver to take them out just like this. You're going to keep those screws on the side. Be sure not to lose them because we're going to need them to attach the rack ears. We'll do one at a time, starting with the small one here. We're going to look for these two small holes, and we're going to line them up to either the two holes on this side of the unit or this side of the unit. So for today, we'll line it up right here. So we're going to line up the holes of the unit to the holes of the rack ear like that. We'll take back two of our screws and line them up to the holes right here, and then just screw them in like that. We're gonna do the same thing with the long rack ear now, so line up the holes on the rack ear to the holes of the unit. Take your screws and line them up to the holes, then use the screwdriver to screw them in like this. So with the rack ears attached, you can line the unit up to a free spot on your rack and screw it in using the hardware that's inside of your rack. The unit is 1U rack mountable, so make sure you have enough space when placing it inside of the rack. Now there is a way to rack two units next to each other at the same time. For that, you're going to need the included bar that goes in the middle of both units, and you'll also need the two smaller ears that come with each unit. So first we're going to start by bridging the two units together. So we're going to just make sure they're side to side, just like that. Once they're bridged together, we're going to look for these four holes in the middle, right there. Then we'll take our bridge piece and line them up to these four holes. So we'll want to make sure to get the ones in the back and the ones in the front. Next, we're going to take four of our small screws and line them up to each hole. Then we're going to use our screwdriver to screw them in just like this. So now that our units are joined together, we can now add our rack ears to each side. So to do that, we'll take out these screws on each side with the screwdriver and do the same exact thing on the other side here. Then we can take our rack ears and line them up to the holes on each side. Line our screws up to the holes on each side and use a screwdriver to screw them in, securing the ears to the units. So now we can take both of our units and line them up to a space on our rack. And remember, it's 1U rack mountable, so make sure you have that amount of space. Now we also have some software available to fine-tune some of the settings in your RWM-DSP-L2, including the echo, EQ, and exciter presets, amongst many others. You can either download this from the support site or download it from the link we're going to drop right here. Next, we're going to connect the receiver to our computer using the included USB cable. You're going to plug this USB-B end into the receiver. Then plug the USB-A end into your computer. Once you connected the receiver to your computer, you're gonna see this window pop up. We have a bunch of different things we can edit here. We have the device name where we can change the name of the receiver itself. We have the Find Me feature, so if you have more than one of these units in your rack, but you wanted to find this one in particular, you can just press the Find Me button, and then you'll see the button start to flash. Then we have the Upgrade button at the end, so you can download any available updates. Now to make the edits in the presets, we're actually gonna click on this Console button here, and that's gonna bring us to this window. For today, we're just gonna do a brief overview on what each of these windows do for our receiver. So we can use this squeal section here to adjust the settings for the feedback filter. We can use the exciter section to adjust the settings on the exciter. And you can adjust all of the presets if you don't like the sound of them. So for example, you can click on preset 1 for the exciter, and you can make any of the adjustments you want. Move on to the next one if you wish, and then the third one, just like that. Then we have the echo section here where we can adjust all of the echo presets. So we can go to preset 1, make our adjustments. We can do the same for preset 2 or preset 3. You also have the channel info and volume section here. You can use that to adjust the volume of each pack. And this QR code down here is really handy because you can take your phone and use your camera to open up this window, but on your mobile device. Whenever you're done making adjustments, you can just press the Save to Device button here, and that's going to save everything you've done. Now, one thing I want to stress is that this feature here doesn't make or break the settings that are already pre-built in the receiver. This is just for the pro audio people or anyone who wants to really fine-tune each setting. So unless you really want to fine-tune the settings, the presets on the receiver itself are going to be just fine. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your RWM-DSP-L2. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.